Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET. Now, we just spoke about how you should not be too perturbed about the 5% GDP growth number, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have been getting WhatsApp forwards about. And also, how can you wisely utilize and invest your salary that you've just received for the month of August. Now, let's talk about another perturbing factor, and that is the free fall, literally the free fall that we witnessed in the Indian rupee versus the US dollar. And the key victims are not just corporates who are importing goods, but also us who are importing our children. To put it more lightly and to put it, of course, more clearly, I mean our kids who, of course, are going abroad to study. We do naturally have to incur expenses for that. And if you're sending your child abroad to study, it means you're going to have to literally buy dollars. And now to buy $1, you need not 68 odd rupees, but you need 72.3 odd rupees for $1, which naturally has got a lot of parents wondering, especially because it's unfortunately coinciding with a time when the academic year is just starting. So like it or not, you are going to see a rise in the tuition fees and also in the living expenses in Indian rupee terms. In fact, we had this conversation with Anshuman Mishra, founder of LoanAdda, just 2-3 weeks ago. So we decided this is the best time to bring him back again. Let's present Anshuman Mishra, founder of LoanAdda.com. Anshuman, thank you for joining us on ET. Now, it's always a pleasure having you with us. Anshuman, there are a lot of worried parents out there who are wondering as to how they're going to cope with the ever-increasing expenses, not just on an absolute basis, but now even on a relative basis, because the fact is that the rupee is falling versus the US dollar. So that means, and I remember you saying that the US is any which way is the most expensive country to go and study in or live in totality. And now with the USD being so high versus the rupee, it's gotten even more expensive. So what kind of a rise? I mean, if we just have to look at it in the last 1-2 months, are parents staring at, and should they be excessively worried?
See, the first thing that you need to understand is that parents need to understand that it's a 4-year, long-term goal. You're not going to do something for an immediate, 1 or 2 months. So as the chart says that last 1 year, the rates have not moved so much. It's just that the last 1 or 2 months or 3 months, it has moved like that. So first and foremost, think of it like a 4-year investment, number one. Second advice I can give you that when you are having to send your child and when the next semester money has to be paid, just ensure that you see a 60-day period or 30 to 60-day period and then transfer the money when the amount is lowest. That's the only thing you can, do, because children have to understand and parents also have to understand that this is not a bad thing, because you're sending abroad means if after 4 years of education you start earning, you are going to earn a depreciated rupee which you would like, because during that time you will not want the rupee to appreciate. Because let's say the total amount of loans or total amount of expenses on foreign education of 20,000 crores in last year will go up. People are going to send more and more money out and more education is going to happen. So parents must think of it as a long term. In 4 years time, they should not worry about this 1 or 2 months or in this milieu of worrying about what to do, how to spend. So think coolly and send to the best school or college possible.
Your child will also earn in dollars later. Look at it that way. Don't be too perturbed right now. Also, Anshuman, a very interesting point you mentioned, stick to the best college. Now, suppose I have a brilliant child who has gotten admission in various universities or colleges, unfortunately without scholarship. How much of a factor should I consider this rupee then? Because like you're saying, you should not look at it from a very short-term perspective. You have to look at it from a 4-year perspective. So should I really consider this rupee factor? Because obviously that means that I would have to perhaps look at even other countries, if not America. So should I really be giving this rupee a very serious look or just let it go?
See, obviously, if you see the Canadian dollar, the way it's moved, or even the Singaporean dollar, it's not moved so much as the US dollar, especially from an education, from a transmittance or remittance perspective. But yes, the basic factor that parents that come to me or parents need to consider is that, see, India has some systemic issues in terms of like-to-like effort. If you put after your 12th for your SATs and you put the same amount for your college, to get into a normal graduate college in India, the lines are so long that with the same amount of effort you will get into a top 10 global college. So whether you send it to US or to Canada or to UK or to Singapore, the goal of the student and the parents should be send it to the best as per what they can. Now, there are countries like, Germany and Ireland where tuitions become zero. You basically have to spend on the living cost. You must understand that you are not considering just a foreign education. You are talking of a child's education. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of sending a child abroad? You have to understand that, because see, 20 years back, education for a child used to be a fixed normal thing, which you tell them, this particular degree or course you do, that's fine. Today it's not that. There is an extreme long tail of choices. So even if you go to US or Canada or UK or even in India, students want a specific what they want and what they like, and parents are now having to explain to children what is it that they want to do. Because child has a mind of its own. 20 years back that was not the case. So today's parent has to really spend his time, energy and effort in understanding what college, what course, what country, and on top of that be ready with the finances with the child. So for that you need to just take care that Canada is an option, Ireland is an option, Germany is an option, but US is where it is in terms of business, because you have to understand that it is by far the best place to go and study, to go and work, to go and live. So you need to not take a second choice, and you need to keep your level in your head cool and try to not worry about these financial cost or this depreciation up and down, because the reverse side is also going to help you. You can find ways of reducing your cost, because once you go there you can take some teaching assistantships which will really help you. If you are an SAT, you can take some advanced placement exams which will reduce some of the courses that you have to do. So on and so forth. Try to find solutions rather than getting into a panic mode.
And of course, like we on the Money Show always say, right, you have to save for your child's education. That includes even such contingencies when the rupee is going completely haywire, right? And I hope you do have an adequate buffer to counter any of these sudden shocks that do occur. In fact, Anshuman, we've got a couple of questions right now with us, so let's try and answer them. We have Pallavi who's written to us. She asks, with the rupee depreciating against the US dollar, should one consider another country for their foreign education? I am currently puzzled between the US, UK and Singapore. Now, in fact, Anshuman, you just said about how the US is actually the one country that, according to you, does provide the best education for students. But she still has this question. And, frankly, Singapore as well has been one country that's been gaining a lot of popularity. So, Anshuman, how would you help her out?
See, Pallavi, the first thing you have to do is that as a student, maybe one country is very good, but if you get a better college or a better course in some other country, suppose you go to UK and you've got a very good college like London School of Economics, or in Singapore you have NUS or NTU where you get an admission. So obviously that's should be your final choice as compared to a country. You can't decide on that. That's number one. Number two, in terms of this dollar rupee fluctuation, of course in UK and in Singapore it has been relatively more stable than how, or even in Canada, than how the US dollar has moved with Indian rupee. And for you have to understand that Singapore, the colleges have become much actually cheaper. You have to also factor in that the cost of coming back up and down from India, if you are in Singapore, it will be much cheaper than going to US and back. So like to like, yes, but if you're not got the best offer from a US college, other countries where if you have applied for and got a good offer from a good college, that should be the criteria. The criteria should be the best college and the course what you like to do in it, rather than how the currency has moved.
Very quickly, Anshuman, now we have Kiran who's asking us, are there any government schemes that offer loans for foreign education? Anshuman?
See, government has, Vidya Bharati, education loan schemes for people. So that's, but the issue is that it's capping up to 15 lakhs odd. So plus the advantage is that these government schemes, you have to be at it, because there is some collateral required, because up to 4 lakhs you will get a free without collateral. Beyond that you have to give some collateral. So the education loan system, which somebody like you will want to know, is that there will be some collateral required, especially if you wanted to go abroad, where the costs will be in excess of at least 30-40 lakhs in the course of 3 to 4 years. So you need to have that financial closure. As I said earlier in my previous show, that please have the financial closure and do not just jump in the deep side. There are some government schemes which will give you loans, but essentially these are difficult to come by. So you will have to go to this private private banks and financial companies which will give you. As compared to that, the simple normal loan against property is fine. The advantage with these education loans is that if you take a loan of 4 years, education, from that for 8 years you can repay. So essentially you have 12 years to repay that. That's the advantage of a education loan, number one. Second is that if you take an education loan, there's an 80, section 80 where you get the benefit of income tax on that. So there are government schemes, which you can avail of, but they will be, they will not fully cap your education abroad.
All right, Anshuman, unfortunately, we are out of time, so we'll have to wrap up this discussion. Folks, like Anshuman said, don't keep your focus on the rupee movement, but choose the best course, choose the best college. Don't look at it from a very short-term perspective. And besides, if you're going to be spending in dollars right now, your child will be earning in dollars later. Anshuman, thank you for joining us then on The Money Show. Quick break right here on the show, but when we return, we will be connecting with Hormuz Sarabji of Autocar to talk about the new cars that are going to be launching prior to the festive season.